Okay, so hello guys. Today we are going to be creating a cryptography program in Python. So first we're going to import random. And then so our random module is our library. It's basically going to allow us to introduce randomness into our random key. So basically how this program is going to work, we're going to have an input line. Then we're going to have an encoded and decoded line. So we're going to encode our input line with a randomized key. And so you can only decode our line if we have the specific key. And this key is changed for each iteration, for each time that we run this program. And we're going to get a different encoded line each time. So basically, I have some code already set up. So our input line will be hello world. We're importing the module. Then I'm going to declare our two string variables. Then we're going to have this list of characters. I'm going to put it in description so that you don't have to type them all out. But basically, what we're going to do is that we're going to take our list of characters. I'm just going to add another one. And we're going to call it RK. So this is a list of all of our uppercase letters, all of our lowercase letters, a bunch of symbols, and our numbers, and also spaces. Everything that's going to be in our input line. So this is going to be our random key. It's just going to be a list. So random dot shuffle RK. So our randomized list. Then let's print it out so that I can see. So each element in our characters list is going to be shuffled around to be in a random position in the list. And so how we're going to use this is that we're going to see, let's say we take H for example. So our first one is uppercase H. So print in our characters list our seventh one. Yeah, our seventh element in here is H. Well, technically it's our eighth element, but for lists we go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're going to take our eighth character from our randomized key as well. So we're going to print K7. And for any uppercase H's in our input line, we're going to replace those with P. And we're going to replace E with whatever corresponds in this randomized key. And we can only swap it, and then when we're decoding it, we're going to swap it back out. And we can only do that if we have our random key. So we've printed our random key. And now let's start working on our encoder. So we're going to be writing into the EL string. So first let's create a little integer so that we can use this to help iterate. So let's see. Okay. So we're going to start with a for loop. So for, let's say, A in range. So this is going to be our loop. And range is going to be how many times we loop in here. So that's just going to be our length of our input string. And so for each little character in our input string, we're going to go through our characters list, and we're going to check which one it matches up to. So inside of this, let's say for B in range of our length of our characters, we're going to go through and we're going to see which one matches up with that character. So that means if our input So we'll get, so if in our input line if in our input line A is equal to whatever one we're on in characters right now, then we'll set number to be equal to whatever thing does. So what this is going to do is that's going to see H, it's going to go through each line here. So for example, H, we see that, and then it's going to go through, okay, so for H, it's going to go through each one in characters, and if that H matches up with the 7th element, it's going to say which number element that is. So that means we can always refer to char and B to see if that matches up with our input line. So then for each one, so we're going to go back out into this, out of the if statement, and we're going to add to our encoded line. So our encoded line, actually no, we can plus equals is, well, encoded line plus the number in our random key. So random key, we want to get that number. And so that's going to go through each string, each character in here, and switch it out like I said earlier. And there's a better way to do this. Instead of doing this, we can change this into EL plus equal RK. So instead of adding this on to EL by taking our current EL, adding that on and setting that to a new EL, we can just do plus equal, and that basically just does the same thing. So it's a little bit more easier to read that way. So for our decoder, let's assign a new number variable. And now we are going to, now we're going to basically do a very similar thing as our encoding string, but now we're just going to change it. So for our decoder, we have to change these. I don't. Okay, so C and D this time. So we want to see if in our encoded line this time, if that's equal to our random key. So we're going to go through our encoded line and try to match it up with whatever is in our random key. So C, D, I'm going to set that to D. Then we're going to add to DL, characters num2. So that's our encoder and our decoder. So let's print this out. Let's print encoded line and our decoder. Make, okay, so as you can see, we have our encoded and our decode. Okay, then that's why. Add to the decoded line. There we go. So we see that our input and decoded line are equal, which is what we want to achieve, but our encoded line is not equal to our input line. It's like a random mess of letters. And so if you print our random key, you'll see that we matched up H with the 7th letter in here, Q, and we replaced H with Q, and we replace, and the only way to decode this is to replace it back using this random key. But without a random key, we can't replace it. The random key is very essential As you can see, it's a very essential part of our decoder loop. This is our encoder. This is our decoder. So yeah, that's how you can create a Python encoder and decoder, where it substitutes and is able to create a really random looking string. And you can only encode it with our random key. This is pretty helpful in applications where you need to like hide data, such as in if you're making a password manager, you could encode it this way. And the only way to decode it is with a random key. So yeah, pretty helpful. Thank you for watching.